Initiating with the wrong hero. This is a mistake made countless times. Sending in squishy heroes, squishy cores, or even worse, like a sniper going in first or close to going in first, are not intelligent ways to start fights. The rules of starting a fight is you either one of two things. You either have a tanky initiation hero, and it says it in DOTA, initiation hero, that, for example, can tank a lot of damage and doesn't instantly die. That's the key rule, they don't instantly die. Or you have, for example, support heroes that give you temporary invincibility. So Shallow Grave or False Promise or whatever. And that means while the enemy team kind of has to force to fight this hero, or starts fighting this hero and then suddenly find that ability applied upon them, all of a sudden they're wasting lots of damage, lots of magical powers, etc, nukes on this hero that isn't going to die, while the rest of your team is able to start doing a lot of damage to them and bring them down. And this is kind of the thing that stands out probably the most of anything, is that if they can't really kill the initiator, and certainly not very quickly, the team fight is always going to go into your favour because they keep focusing on the one hero they can't kill. So that's a pretty good advantage. What you don't want to do is go gun-ho with a hero that actually isn't that durable. And there are some strength-based cores you're like, oh yeah, we'll go in that one. But actually they're still not that durable and probably shouldn't start a fight. And so you have to be very, very careful of making sure that the right heroes are going in first. Targeting the wrong heroes in a team fight. Now this is pretty important. And there's like a priority list in terms of the right heroes to target first. The tanky initiation core, as you probably worked out from the previous mistake, is not the one you want to initiate on first. Now, yes, they can be disruptive, but for example, Bristleback, while his core sprays are dealing damage, he doesn't actually deal that much damage. But a hero like Sniper or Drow will deal insane levels of damage to you, and that's why it's important to get to them first. And I think that's kind of the thing, is sort of, even in team fights, you've got these baits, these enemy baits, which are like tanky cores. You're like, oh yeah, let's kill him, he's there, he's right in front of us. It's like, no. Almost basically ignore those heroes. So there's three types of hero that are going to be your biggest problems. The first and most important to prioritise, by far the most, are massive disruptive team fighters. So these are heroes like Earthshaker, Tidehunter, Warlock, Disruptor, yada 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 yada. And basically the issue with all of those heroes is they start a fight, and then as soon as the fight starts they offer tremendous levels of stun and damage, meaning that your entire team is incapacitated while the enemy team starts working around you and killing you. I mean, they can really, really mess you up. And for example, if you had a Warlock and a Tidehunter combined, if you get caught by both of them, unless you've got BKBs, you're going to die almost instantly. And so in the mid-game, it's an insane advantage. So targeting heroes like that first and foremost, who are usually supports of the squishy anyway, is definitely a priority. The next heroes to target, again ignoring the tanky initiation hero, are high damage dealers. So the ones that deal the most damage. I've mentioned before, Sniper, Drow, Terror Blade, any kind of hero that is going to deal insane levels of damage to you very, very quickly are absolutely critical to jump on and take their heads off. After, of course, you're dealing with the terrifying teamfight heroes with all their spells. The last list on the priority are squishy heroes, like supports, etc., that will die pretty easy. That's kind of like the next default on, because if supports will die quickly, if you kill them first, chances are you'll still be alive and they'll be dead, and that turns the team fight in your favour, because it's 5 versus 3 or 4 versus 3 or whatever. And that numbers are very important. If they are a man down or you're a man down, that will completely change the outcome of a team fight. And even though you might feel like that one teammate isn't that significant, it's amazing how disruptive and annoying they can be when a fight happens. So, and then last on your list, of course, is the tanky initiators. So effectively, you've got to do the opposite to what you're trying to do, which is initiate with a tanky hero. Your team wants to simply target anyone but the tanky hero on the enemy team. They're the last ones to kill. So the next one is positioning. Positioning is a really, really important thing to get right, and a lot of time people get it wrong. So where are you positioned, and how close are you to your initiator? And this is kind of the thing. And how easy are you to kill, and how disruptive you are to the team fight. So a well-trained Rubik pretty much is perma-invisible and never seen by the enemy team, because he does never want to be anywhere near when the team fight starts, but then as it starts he can then go in, steal the best initiation item and then counter-initiate with it. And that's kind of like a big thing. So in terms of the lineup, you want your tanky initiator first, you want your core heroes that deal incredible levels of damage second, and then you finally want your squishy heroes that can't really do that much, except for, pick at people last. Now, in terms of the squishy, so in effect, the way you should be positioned is squishiest as far back, tankiest as close to the front, whatever order that kind of falls into, and most likely to avoid death. But it isn't just that, because you can also be too far away, in which case you're no use. So keeping your balance where you're close enough to, within a second, use a spell, but not so close that then when a team fight happens, they can easily see you. The other thing as well is being close to or around trees when the fights start. Diving and almost juking before a team fight starts can also be really, really helpful. Because when the team fight does actually start, the enemy team's like, well, where are the two supports? What's going on here? Meanwhile, you're like, ha, I'm juking behind a tree, ha ha. So there is definitely that, but just make sure, depending on how tanky you are, is how close you should be to when the spear of your team fight happens. Team cohesion is critical, and it's a big mistake a lot of people fail to get right a lot, because effectively they're not working as a team. And now a lot of people are like, oh well, GG, no hope, good boy, because whenever I ask my team to start a fight, they never do. And that is correct, that is true. Coordinating with a team is difficult. But you've really got to ask yourself the question, which is, you may know that it's right to push and try to secure objectives. It is irrelevant what you know if your team isn't with you. So of course, the golden rule with team cohesion is making sure you are all together. Or you have a hero that can rapidly join the fight. So for example, Nature's Prophet or Spectre. Spectre is a great example. You can just be free farming in the jungle. Divine his ultimate up, you can start a fight, and then he turns up. Everyone's scared, he starts, flipping around the different heroes, like, I'm Spectre, ha! Great hero to do that crazy madness. So, so unless you've got a hero like that, generally you need to be with your team ready for when the team starts the fight. The other thing with team cohesion as well is, I didn't mention this before, but is smoke. So you can use smoke, obviously, to initiate a fight, and then your smoke starts disappearing as you encounter the enemy team or an enemy hero. This is a really awesome advantage. And again, if your whole team is smoked and you go together, generally that tends to give you an edge. The fact that you're going past wards without even being seen, which is pretty immense if you think about it. So, providing, and then of course knowing who to target as well. So your teammates need to all be focusing on the right heroes, and for example, 2 stunning heroes can take out the high damage dealer, and then the rest of you can deal with the hero that has the best team fight. And then because your team knows who to target, when to target, and does it quickly, all of a sudden just because your team is on the same page, knowing who to target and when, and because you're pushing together and working together, that gives you a massive advantage. Now I know obviously you're thinking, well, that's it, good boy, there's no point, because let's face facts, no team's ever going to work with me because they're all just toxic. You can obviously ping, and you can look at what the rest of the team are doing and where they are and follow them instead and see how it goes. You can also buy a smoke. Most people, when you activate a smoke around the team, tend to know what you're trying to do. And of course, typing and communicating in a polite and pleasant way can also increase your statistical chance of your team actually working with you to do that. But I will admit that is tough. So the golden rule that people get so wrong is vision. Team fights are won and lost over vision. It is so critical, I cannot emphasize how easy it is to screw it up and how important it is to get right. So here is where the high ground advantage comes in as a massive tactical thing. If you've got the high ground, not only do you have a certain level of evasion, but also you can see the enemy and usually see the whole enemy team, which means you can take out those squishy supports I mentioned earlier that are really disruptive, or the high damage dealers without much problem at all. Fighting uphill is always difficult, but also as a team yourself, are you about to start a fight going uphill? Because then they have high ground advantage and vision. And that's kind of the big thing to get right. And again, that's why smokes are so helpful, because as you approach, suddenly your smoke wears off, you're like, oh, no, we don't have vision, retreat! You know, there is totally that kind of thing going on as well. But most critically, it's the use of wards. As you're approaching a high ground or an area where you can't see that well, putting down a ward just as a team fight begins, or just prior to a team fight beginning, as you see that, as you see your smoke dissipating, is a really nice advantage. Because as soon as the fight starts, you've got this massive vision, you can see where they are, and you can target the right hero straight away and kill them effectively. And so sometimes starting a team fight where you have vision, or where you're warded and you see an enemy jungling, is a great opportunity for you to have a massive upper hand. And again, wards are so amazing in terms of their impact on the game. But in a team fight, that's also a pretty good call as well. So if you're playing support, for example, you may want to actually have a ward for when the team fight begins, and then just pop it down at the best strategic location to give you the maximum level of vision. And then in doing that, it makes it so easy for you to get your team to target the right heroes and win. So that's summed up team fight mistakes in a nutshell. Try to take those into account, and of course, good luck working with your team to do them. Anyway, thank you so much for watching, and as always, please hit a like, subscribe, and share, and stay tuned for more great stuff coming soon. Goodbye.